You may have heard the phrase "you're too old to play video games," especially if you're, somewhere over 18, in between the ages of, I guess, 18 and 130. But, I mean, is that really the case? And exactly who is saying that? Since I do have a gaming channel, it's been in my experience that pretty much the people who are saying you're too old to play video games are not adults, but younger kids, probably somewhere between the age of 9 and 13. I guess because they think the world revolves around them and only they should be able to play video games, like life magically ends at age 18 and all you do is work from there on. And that's actually not true, since any research that I actually turned up pretty much pointed towards the average gamer being somewhere in their 20s and 30s as opposed to 15 and still in high school. So as I said, life doesn't magically just end at the age of 18 where you're now an adult, at least in the United States, and you don't just go to work all the time. Clearly you go, a lot of people go to college, and even more so, they play video games in their spare time. So I'm pretty much going to submit some evidence that clearly you can never be too old to play video games. Number one, I already mentioned it, that the average gamer is pegged somewhere between 21 maybe, late 20s to 30s, possibly early 40s. Just do a quick Google search on it. I mean, not all of it's going to be accurate, but the majority of what I found tends to peg them in that age range. So already, the people who are saying you're too old are at a disadvantage. Two, the people who make your games are generally older. They're usually in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I mean, a lot of work has to go into this. You don't see an army of 13-year-olds, making Gears of War 2. It's because it just doesn't happen. I mean, the people who are making these are adults, and I mean, why would you be too old to play something when, adults are pretty much making these for other adults? Sure, there's, kids can join in on the action too, 13, 14. It's not a teenager. I'm talking about, younger kids who are like, you're too old, you should, get a job. I do have a job. I'm in school too. And I don't see a lot of kids with both a job and in school, so looks like I'm doing a little bit more with my life than yours so far. Three, if you're pretty much an adult and you're telling other people that they're too old to do something, I suggest you get your own hobby, because everyone has a hobby. You might go sailing, I play video games, you might like to restore cars in your spare time, I'd like to crash them in some sort of game. Everyone has a hobby, and as long as your hobby is not shooting people in real life, I really don't see the problem. So while I haven't been told any time lately that I've been too old, because 21 really isn't that old when you come to think about it, and eventually everyone's going to hit that age unless they unfortunately die first, but sooner or later you're going to be in that position too if you're saying someone's too old to play something. So, I mean, if you're 11 and you're saying someone's too old, guess what happens in 7 years? You're going to be 18 and you're going to be too old, so might be time to rethink that. As for adults, it's just get a hobby. There's that guy in Florida, Jack Thompson, who's a douchebag. That guy's a jerk. I don't think anyone likes him. I think Florida even barred him from practicing law in Florida. That's how much they don't like him. But anyway, keep doing what you're doing. Keep playing your games. Keep doing, whatever you want to do, I guess. So pretty much you can never be too old to enjoy something, so long as it's legal. I mean, you can be too young to do some stuff, but you can really never be too old as long as it's within the legal bounds. And probably not going to get too much into that, but keep doing what you're doing so long as you stay legal.